Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode at Fort Worth Roots. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by ShopGWDistrict.com. With over 110 Black-owned businesses listing their merchandise, they're going to have something you need, something you want. Go check it out. That's ShopGWDistrict.com. Our guest today is the host of the Emergency Exit podcast. They also have the Rewatch Party and From the Left Hash, which is a sports show. Rewatch Party is where they break down movies. All really good content. You're going to want to check this out. You can find it at emergencyexitpodcast.com or on your individual favorite podcast platform. Please give it up for our guest today, Brandon Mitchell, also known as the Hard Hat Mitchell. Thank y'all for being here. Let's start the show. There was a huge influx in podcasters. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't have anything to do. Might as well start a podcast.
Oh, man. I just read something the other day that, during this COVID shutdown, the last 9-10 months, there's been like an additional 500,000 podcasts started. Mm-hmm. It's like, man. Now, how many of those are actually going to go the distance and keep going? Who knows? Yeah. But that's a lot of goddamn people.
Yeah.
And podcasting, I love it. I've been doing it for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I was a huge fan of just listening to them for a couple years before that, working overnight or something. Yeah. Music gets old. I want to learn something. Yeah. And that's the beauty of podcasting, is that it's like found time. You can still absorb that information and still do stuff in your day. Whereas reading a book, as much as I love to read, you can't read and cook and clean at the same time. Right. So it's very efficient. And if there's one thing you should be, it's efficient.
Yeah. Well, we got kind of a similar story then, because I same thing. I'd listened to podcasts for years, loved it, and of course I had my favorites, but I would just devour hours and hours of content. And I was, either I'd be by myself, I'd ran my own business for a while, and I'd just have a headset on and listening to podcasts all day. And then I ended up getting an hourly job driving a truck. And
that's the best time, yeah.
Driving, so yeah. For sure. And I think it's episode 11 with Donnie Bovian. We kind of go into the analytics back in, I want to say maybe September. No, it had to be before then. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's episode 11, and we go into the current analytics for podcasters. And he mentions that the number had gotten to 2 million podcasts worldwide back, months ago. So there's no telling what it's at now. But before that, I think at the start of 2020, there were 880,000 on Apple.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then it just exploded.
Yeah.
But like you said, how many will stick around? Who knows? But another thing Donnie said was, there's 4 million books that get published every year. 4 million.
4 million.
Does that stop an author from writing another book? No. So
hey man, you got to suck.
Don't let it
good.
discourage you.
Yeah. Some people might just get bored with it. They want to just try it and see what it's about. And then some just might get the bug and, find something that sticks.
Right.
I'd met Carlos at a house party. Mm-hmm. And he had just started.
Is that the Holy Mexican?
No, that's not the Holy Mexican. That's the other guy. That's Los. He's the one that's always, that's right.
Okay.
He's the very bearded one, whereas David is more just a little bit of mustache and whatever. Met him at a house party, and he had just started the podcast. I was like, oh man, I love, what is it? And I looked it up and just started listening.
Yeah.
He was only a couple episodes in. Very, very crude and all that, but I'd also listened to shows that had just started out or go way back in their catalog, right. And you listen to their first 10 versus their 110, 200, and it's huge difference.
Night
and
it's
cool seeing that transition as you get better.
Right.
And just started kind of interacting and made a guest appearance and kind of never ever left after that.
Yeah. Looks like he's putting them out weekly.
Yeah, we do 3 shows a week.
Yeah.
And then
you kind of stay out of the camera on that, I noticed.
Yeah, I'm not used to being on this side of the camera.
Yeah. Brandon Hard Hat, is that what
Brandon the Hard Hat Mitchell. I do construction.
Yeah.
And so that's where the hard hat comes from.
Well, before we go in any further, the name of that show is Emergency Exit Podcast.
That's correct.
And that's we're Brandon, and you said Carlos, and then what's the other gentleman's name?
David, the Holy Hispanic.
Yeah. And I guess you'd kind of maybe define it as a libertarian news talk show.
Yeah, it's news
kind
and
of thing.
politics, and it is libertarian based in the sense that we're equally critical on both sides, or at least try to be.
Right.
When one side does something shitty or fucked up, we try to call it out, and same with the other side. Obviously, people have their biases.
Right.
I think David's side's a little more to the right.
Sure.
I wouldn't say full Republican, but he's still, hey, if what you want to do doesn't affect me, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I may not agree with it, but I'm not, hey, you're free to do it. Carlos is probably more siding with the libertarian side.
Yeah.
But again, we just try to be equally critical, and one important thing that we really try to emphasize is conversation and debate. And hey, it's okay to disagree with somebody.
For sure.
Especially on stuff like politics, because it's all opinion based. Everybody wants everybody to succeed. It's just how do you want that? What does that look like? What's on that path? And we try to promote that, and diversity of thought, which is one of those weird things. Everybody's all about diversity in the workplace and all this other stuff,
but not in conversation.
But diversity of thought is strangely overlooked.
Who is the libertarian y'all had on? And I can't remember.
Ted Brown.
Recently?
Recently it was Ted Brown. He was running for Congress District 46,
right.
I think. I mean, I might be wrong on that, but yeah, he was running and didn't quite make it.
I love that episode because you guys are just, like you said, it's okay to disagree. Your host or co-host or whatever he is was just tearing them apart.
Oh no, okay.
Which,
that was Elliot Sherman.
Okay.
He was running for Houston U.S. Congress out of Houston District 6 against Dan Crenshaw.
That's the one.
He's the more recent Elliot Sherman, and but that's kind of what he wanted to, because he wanted to see like how he could think on his feet, and still maintain like, hey, is this guy a true libertarian, or is he just going to kind of cave? And there was some disagreement there,
but it was okay because he did a good job of like really being aggressive with him, and then rounding it out with, it's okay for us to disagree, and you softened it a little bit before he got off the air. But there for a minute, you're like, oh my God. Which is cool. It's cool that, it's invoking some emotions and getting some points across.
Yeah. The way that everybody's so emotionally charged with politics, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why do you let something just have emotional control over you?
You should come to my parents' house for like family dinner sometime. It's insane,
man. I can only imagine. I read something that Thanksgivings were something like 20% shorter where there were political differences this year.
Sure.
And I mean, hey, I get that.
Makes plenty of sense. I think what happened to us is, for all of very modern, very recent history, the news has always been kind of honorable and distinguished, and they would provide the information and then let everybody else make their own decisions. And I think some of that was that they didn't want to come off as left or right or conservative, liberal, whatever. They wanted to be fully encompassing for all of their audience, right? So for I don't know, what would you say? When did Fox News show up? 01, 02, something like that?
Until
probably. Fox News showed up, I feel like that's kind of the mark where things started getting a little more left, right, lines were drawn in the sand. But before that, there was a big emphasis on integrity.
Yeah.
And so all of the people that grew up in that time frame expect what the news says to be the news. I mean, it's almost...
You wouldn't so much question it because you knew it had already been, vetted and confirmed and researched. Yeah,
so I think people that, kind of grew up and developed in that time period are having trouble understanding that, it's TMZ now. It's
clickbait. They want to be the first and not right, which, I mean, we're seeing the difference here because they'll put stuff out that, 2 days, 3 days later has been proven to be completely fake.
And if they redact it, it's, a footnote.
Yeah, page 46C.
Right.
Just a tiny asterisk. And I mean, let's be honest, who reads that?
Nobody.
If they even, redact it at all.
Yeah, how would you find it? Sure.
Yeah.
But it gives them the leverage to say, oh, no, we we fixed that. So
yeah, because I mean, there used to be at times, what was it, where like the New York Times was like the highest, like you knew if they were saying it had been like very critical of its source and broke it down, and now it's not quite the same anymore.
Yeah, and nobody's really picked up the banner for integrity. Nobody's trying to champion that movement. There's a couple of networks that seem to be, but the sad truth is nobody cares. Nobody really cares about integrity anymore. They just want their easy to digest bullshit headline that they can use as a talking point later.
That confirms their beliefs because they can't.
Reinforces their bias.
Yeah, and that's all it takes. And that's where the diversity of thought comes in. Like I just see it for what it is and don't understand how can you pick and choose what you want to be right. Like it's either right or it's not. You can't say, oh yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. We need diversity in this. We need this many people on this board because they're, this skin color, this race, this, identity. It's like all of that. Like I don't see the point of that. If the person's fit for the job, they're fit for the job. You're trying to meet a quota or a number. I don't see how that's beneficial on anybody.
Yeah. Well, hopefully more conversations like this will kind of, break people loose of that idea that everything's got to be a headline. Everything's got to be a left or a right issue. You know, I think these long form conversations are important, and you're seeing a lot more of that. And see Chris Jordan, I had him on last week. You might have heard that name before.
Yeah, I've
Universal.
I've been on his show a time. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. I've actually. When I've had some tech issues, he's usually my go-to.
He's a wild man.
Dude, he's a great guy. He's never led me wrong.
Apparently, he's got some kind of conspiracy theory about bananas that we're going to get into next time.
Oh.
Yeah, we just
I don't know that I'm familiar with that one.
I don't know either. We just came off of like 6 different rabbit trails, so I was like, we'll talk bananas next time.
Yeah. He's a good guy. I look forward to listening to that one.
Yeah, Chris, if you're listening, man, we can't wait to have you back. I was asking Chris about this, and I'll ask you too. Like, I wanted to kind of break open Austin and kind of talk about things and, kind of steer away from the general, like, oh, Austin's this or Austin's that. But maybe there's like, you've got this favorite place that you like going to, or you take people whenever they come from out of town to this one spot, or you've got a restaurant that you really like hitting up, or maybe a favorite venue or stuff like that, like really specific stuff, like stuff that people wouldn't care about. That's what I want to know.
Okay, you care about the stuff that people don't care about.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to care about something.
The really personal stuff. Yeah. Where do you do your laundry? Yeah,
at home. Venues. Man, it feels like it's been so long since I've been to a concert.
Yeah, it has been.
Austin's got a lot of places that. Hell, may not even be open by the end of this. That sucks. They may not make it. Yeah. But, Stubbs is obviously kind of top of the list.
And where is Stubbs located?
Stubbs is located right downtown, right across from maybe not right across from the police station, but it's on 11th.
So off of Mopac?
No, closer, like
or is that
a block or two from 35.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still new here.
Yeah, that's right. 35.
There's a lot of, good venues, clubs, 6th Street and that immediate surrounding area for shows. We got the Coda, the racetrack. They got a nice amphitheater out there for larger.
What are they racing? Is this horses?
Formula One.
Oh, really? Yeah. They got a Formula One track here.
Yeah.
They could have one in Dallas too. I don't know.
I don't think they do. I think Dallas Fort Worth just has Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, we do have that.
Fort Worth. Yeah, I've been there.
Formula One's here.
Yeah. Okay. And it was a big thing when they came here a couple years. Maybe it was more than a couple years ago.
But relatively new, huh?
And within the last 7-8 years, I say.
Because Formula One has typically been like a European thing, right? I mean,
I don't know.
We're all NASCAR here.
Yeah, I don't know that they had a Formula One track in the States. I know there's one in Mexico City, but I can't think of it. And I'm not a Formula One guy, so I'm talking out of my ass here.
Formula In.
Yeah, there you go. I've never seen a race out there. I'm not really a race car kind of guy. Yeah. Like, they're cool, they go fast. I can admire them for the machines that they are, but I get bored after 3 laps or something,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they got a good amphitheater out there. What else?
Where do you go for Mexican food, man?
Oh man, there. It depends on where you are this side, in town. But
I found Flores. It's right here on 290.
Okay, I don't think I've had that. The more authentic the building is, you know, that's not a brand new like kind of thing. The more worn and aged that it shows, the better the food's going to be.
For sure.
And if you have trouble ordering because you don't speak Spanish, like, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to go into that Mexican food place that's like, you look at it and it's like, oh, man, kind of, no, it's going to be good.
I got a translator on my phone, man. I'm not scared to go into a place like that. I got it. I'll figure it out.
Let's see. Well, I know you're near, where are we?
We're at 290 and Nutty Brown, or 290 and
Nutty Brown's 71. A good venue. For music. I've never personally seen a show there, but it's
I bitched about this last episode, but I'll tell you what happened. I knew that their tickets went fast because that place on Friday and Saturday night is always packed.
Yeah.
Always. They've got overflow parking, they got a cop out there. I mean, it looks busy, you know. This is not a dead venue. And since they got an outside thing going on, I'm sure it's one of the few that are getting used.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd go by the marquee and like, oh, damn, those are some big names, you know? And
surprisingly big names for a small venue. Yeah. I don't want to say it's small, tiny, but compared to what some of those big names are playing.
Yeah. So I'm going by the marquee one day and I see Bill Burr's name up there and I'm like, holy shit. So I get online and I pull it up and I'm like, oh, man, the tickets don't go on sale till Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, I got this. Wednesday, boom, buy the tickets. I call my friend, I lace him up. I'm like, hey, Cody, we're going. So whatever you got to do, whatever you got to tell your wife, you're coming here. We're going to go Bill Burr. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Lots of fun. We love Bill Burr. It's going to be good. So Wednesday rolls around. I get really busy with work. And then about 4 o'clock, I think they went on sale at noon on Wednesday. 4 or 5 o'clock, I get online to buy the tickets.
None.
Sold out.
Oh, I bet it's sold out.
All 4 shows.
Yeah. Damn, 4 shows?
4 shows, completely sold out.
Woo.
Had not been up for sale for more than 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
I believe it. Bill Burr.
Sucks.
Was he with Rogan? Or was it just him?
I don't think so. I think it was just a Bill Burr thing. But I'm sure they hung out. I'm sure they went and
he picked him up in his
had some
helicopter.
Chewies or something.
Chewy's overrated.
You know what? The one in Fort Worth, that Chewy's, it's on the menu at least once a month. It's really good. And I got down here and I'm like, oh man, this is where Chewy's is from. It's going to be great. Went to the one here closest to where I'm at and it's no bueno. I always get the chicka boom boom. Mm-hmm. You ever had that?
Mm-mm.
It's a little spicy. It's hard to deal with the next day, but it's really good. No bueno.
So I didn't only like so this time.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed. So, and I'm like I gotta have Mexican food once a week or I start freaking out.
Yeah,
I need it. Mm-hmm. It's part of my DNA from West Texas.
Being a Texan, yeah, gotta have it. You gotta get those tacos, something, anything.
I just haven't found a place. I'm like, this is my spot. This is my place. And Flores is, like I said, it's okay. But every time I go in there, I feel like I'm bugging them. You know, like, hey, can I get a table? They're like, I guess. I did find this. I was surprised it was open. I've gone by it maybe a dozen times. There's a sports bar across the street.
Is it the League?
It might be. That doesn't sound right, but that might be it. And they have some incredible chicken wings. It's right next to GNC in this little shopping center.
I've the company I work for, we've done some work.
Really?
Is it Roaring Fork? Three Forks? Whichever one is right here across from us, because the other one's downtown, and it's definitely not that one. Casa Garcia. I just
Casa
pulled it up.
Garcia?
Yeah, it's William Cannon from here is a pretty good Mexican food spot.
Okay.
So I think it's probably 10, 12 minutes.
So I won't forget.
Yeah, that's there you go. And there's a couple of them. So really, wherever you are in town, I'm close to one up north, and I mean it's my go-to.
Okay.
You know, my girlfriend and I, we just recently bought a couch, and we went to
Congratulations.
Casa Garcia. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's serious, right? When you buy a couch together.
Oh my God!
But it's a nice couch. It's a nice couch. But I was like, let's
Slow
go
down,
get some.
Honey.
Yeah, I was like, let's go get some margaritas, and I was like, Casa Garcia is right over here.
I found out that HEB here is not nearly as cool as HEB up in like the DFW area because we don't have HEB up there.
Yeah.
So there's like one or two. So like, you know, it's kind of like a special thing. Down here, HEBs are more like Walmarts or Albertsons. I mean, they're everywhere.
Well, Albertsons, I don't think there's any more Albertsons in Austin.
They've been dying for a long time.
I remember there used to be one that we would go to sometimes, but yeah, HEB has definitely grown with the HEB Plus. I mean, it's my go-to. But yeah, once you get I guess north of probably Waco, HEB kind of disappears. It becomes a rare commodity. Tom Thumb, I think, is popular in Dallas.
And y'all got Randall's here.
Yeah, we got Randall's.
Yeah.
Which Randall's, surprisingly, don't sleep on Randall's.
No, I went in there the other day and I was excited.
Yeah.
How old are we talking about grocery stores?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I'm 32, so but I mean, grocery stores. Yeah, that's a sign of age.
Got to get your food, man. So, but I'm smack dab in the middle of 2 HEBs. If I go that way, if I go into Austin, like 71 and 290, I got to buy bags. If I go the other way, I don't have to buy bags.
So which one do you go to?
I go to the one I don't have to buy bags. So it was really, and I try really hard not to be like that asshole, but I'm at this HEB. I just got here. I think I'd probably just moved into this apartment, and I walk into this place, my first experience in Austin. I haven't interacted with anybody. I'm there picking up just a few things, and I think I probably had 15 to 20 items, something like that. This is important for the story. Anyway, so I doing the thing, got my card, I'm paying for it, and she goes, "Do you want a bag?" And I look back at this belt of shit,
yeah.
Do I want a bag? And I look at her like I misheard her. So keep stalling long enough for my brain to catch up with what she's actually asking me. So I'm like, do I want a bag? Which is something an asshole would say. But I'm just stalling for time, and it's
letting
just
the wheels catch up.
I can't. I'm like, I'm waiting too long. Like it's getting uncomfortable, but my gears aren't. I can't figure it out. And she's like, yeah. Do you want a bag? And I'm like, I'm gonna need like 8 bags. This is not a 1 bag thing. So I'm missing something. I'm like, yeah, I might want like 8 bags. She's like, okay, well, you got to pay for them. I'm like, I'm not paying for a bag. Like just very matter of fact. And she's like, okay. Like she's just like, okay.
Have fun carrying it.
No. She gave me the bag.
Oh, she gave it to you.
And she didn't charge me for them. And she was like, just so you know, like that's a thing.
That's how we do it here, cowboy.
And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, there I go again with my self-righteous bullshit. Yeah.
Were you wearing cowboy boots when you said that?
No, I don't dress like a cowboy either. I don't know. I guess I was putting that persona off that day. I don't know.
Or just been an asshole.
Yeah, just an asshole. I really do try to keep the lid on it because I think if left to my like natural inclinations, I'm a prick. But
it's so much easier.
I try so hard not to be.
Yeah, no, I have the same problem. Like when I say stuff, a lot of times it's just very matter of factly, like without any emphasis put on like how it's going to be interpreted as far as like sympathy or emotion. It's just very.
Where do you think you got that from? I know where mine came from.
Oh man, I don't know.
Obviously
probably upbringing.
Yeah.
I kind of had to grow up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it was.
I was 12 years in the military. So it just, from the age of 19. So you got to have thick skin,
Yeah.
It's just constantly guys just busting each other's balls all day.
All the time.
All day. Nothing comes out of somebody's mouth that's not sarcastic or something. So that's my baseline.
Yeah.
So I have to operate like below that, like,
and it's
all
hard.
the time.
Yeah, because it takes conscious effort, and when you just let that guard down, people think, "Man, he's a fucking asshole," and you walk around
talking
like,
to you.
"Oh, that was a good conversation I had." And they're like, "Man, fuck this guy."
Yeah, man, I'm not kidding. Anytime I get to like a new environment, like
and then also working construction, like I've done construction maintenance. I used to work on aircraft around all that around former military people. So like, it just didn't help.
What airframe did you work
C-130s.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got my A&P.
Oh, man, that's cool.
In my past life, that's what I did.
I worked on rotary wing for DOD, but I didn't have to have my A&P.
Well, military.
Right. But it was on the civilian side, but I was dual status.
Well, I didn't have to have my A&P for my work, but it was a pay raise and validity.
Dude.
So,
well, I still might get my A&P because I have my ticket. So all I have to do is, I think, take the written, the practical, the oral.
Yep.
So, and then I'd have my A&P. So it seems like something I should definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good to have endorsements,
Yeah. It's not a bad thing. I worked, doing all that for a couple years, and I was in Waco and moved back to Austin, and I just haven't picked it up back since.
Yeah. Did you specialize on a certain thing or?
Engine modification. Specifically, I did engine mods, oil cooler mods for the engines on the C-130s for the Compass Call program.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but
it's electronic warfare.
Okay.
The flying radar jammers, essentially.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That was my main thing, but I did, other small repair work, in between doing those engine mods. But, I mean, at any one point I had, 12, engines kind of under my work at one time.
Right. Waiting on one part or another.
Or an inspection.
Yeah.
They're like, you made me work overtime to get this shit done, and I'm waiting 3 days for an inspector.
Right. Thanks a lot. You have PC?
Yeah.
Production controls, sitting there tapping their foot, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah. QA, quality assurance. Yeah. Oh, you tagged this wrong, and we got a dog. He's like, come on, man. The tag's there. I enjoy the challenge, though,
And my claim to fame, and this is actually something that I probably shouldn't bring up too often because it will get me in trouble someday. But I got approval for it, and, nobody could be mad at me because I got all the right people to say yes. I was working on the flight line one night, and this is overseas, and this particular bird had been decommissioned, we'll just say, and they needed the tail cone removed from the transition section on the helicopter so that they could store it inside the cab of the helicopter and then transport it, right? I have to take this tail cone off, and one of my guys is in there trying to remove rivets. And I'm on a time crunch, and all my other guys are stopped with what they're doing until this guy gets done because of like the nature of the task. Everybody's got to be clear. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is going to take all night. I've got a whole list of things that I have to work off before the shift ends. I said, man, can you just take a Sawzall to this thing? He's like, he just looks at me. He's like, what? I'm like, just cut it off. No one's flying this thing ever again. Let's just cut it off, get it in the cab, and be done. He's like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a problem for me.
That's a lot easier for me.
And like, somewhere in this exchange, I'm like, let me go get approval first because this sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I go up to the...
You just have to convince somebody else of your bad idea.
Exactly. Put it on them. So I go find the NCOIC for the flight line, and he directs me to somebody else. Anyway, I talked to like 4 or 5 different people that are well above my pay grade. And they're all like integrally part of the flight line, or that's their aircraft or something. Anyway, they all sign off on it. I'm like, cool. Really? You're going to let me do this? Like, I'm looking at them like, I'm not kidding. I'm going to do this. Anyway, for anybody that's never been in aviation, this is not a normal thing. No. Like, it doesn't matter what status the bird was on. Like, taking a Sawzall to an airframe is never okay. Ever. So, anyway, we do it. We cut that thing off. And I mean, it took every bit of like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So what were you having to drill out every rivet and I'm sure fucking sealant.
Yeah. So we just cut it. I mean, 2 minutes max. The sheet metal guy, the look on his face, he's never been happier in his life. He's a
sheet metal guy.
He's always wanted to do this, And his arms are shaking like Looney Tunes, going back and forth. Every time he'd catch like a rib or something, shake him to death. So anyway, we get that off. Everything's fine. We get cleaned up. I got all my tasks knocked out for the night. And I go and I'm bedding down for the evening. And somebody comes into my room and they're like, hey, Sergeant Turner. I'm like, somebody better be dead because you're waking me up. I only have like 4 hours before I have to be back. He's like, yeah, the first sergeant wants to see you.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, shit. I already know what it is, but I wrote down names, phone numbers, everything. So whenever I go in there, I'm like, these guys here, they tell me I should do it.
They didn't say I couldn't do it, which is the important thing.
Oh, dude, the yelling and then the red faces with the bulging veins in people's heads that just so upset. Everybody was so upset. So anyway, like I said, that's probably not a story I should go around bragging about because it's not okay. But we were just at the end of our rope, and I needed a win.
Throwing ideas out there. And no one told you no.
Nobody told me no. Yeah.
Did the shit come down directly on you, or?
Well, that was really the last I heard of it. I mean, they put me in front of the commander. They put me in front of the first sergeant, and I just started name dropping. Like, well, this guy. All right. So anyway, I loved aviation, man. Army.
Yeah. Okay.
Blackhawk, Chinooks, and Apaches, and nice. Man, it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of things. Got to meet a lot of awesome people.
Yeah,
and I can't believe that I walked away from aviation, but I needed to get out and try my own thing, Mm-hmm. And I know that if I go back into aviation, I'll never find a position that was as sweet as the one I had. I had a great group of guys that I was working with.
Yeah.
So, and actually just recently, one of my really good friends took a position, same kind of deal, but up in Colorado Springs. Mm-hmm. And he offered me he didn't offer me. He suggested that I should apply. I should restate that in case he's listening. He probably will be. He didn't offer me a position. He suggested I should apply.
Encouraged you strongly.
But it wasn't for a mechanic spot. It was going to be, PC side, scheduling things and getting parts and moving things around on a board. So I was like,
lose my interest there. Like I want to be in there working on it.
Yeah, I need to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
So
can't have clean hands at the end
but
of the day.
I miss it. I miss aviation.
Yeah, it's definitely a scratch that can only be itched by aviation. Yeah. Like I still, I hear a plane and I'm looking up.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, that sounds like a helicopter. And the guys I work with and be like, how do you know? I'm like,
nerd.
You just know. Yeah. And I'm just like, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. A lot of the last few jobs we've been like, right in the, I guess the runway line of Georgetown Airport. So there's a couple flight schools up there. And so they're doing touch and goes all day.
Nice.
And
what does their school use?
I've seen some VTOLs, some Pipers, a lot of Cessnas.
Yeah.
Like, 172s, 150s.
Yeah.
I see a Mooney from time to time.
Really?
I like those. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I learned on a 172, man. I was so close. I almost had my license, and then I just ran out of time and money.
Yeah, I ran out of money as well.
Did you get to your solo?
No, I never quite got soloed, but after like a couple lessons, and I just really took to it. The instructor was like, man, like you just got to grasp the radios a little more, and I'd be cool with you soloing already. And I'm like, all right. So I just get a little, nervous when it came to that part and just, making things clear and concise. But it's just practice.
Yeah, it makes you nervous because everybody's listening. Everybody's a professional, so you don't want to screw up.
Yeah, and sound like a jackass and be like, hey, guys, listen to this guy in the Cessna. Yeah. So, that's exactly it.
So from the left hash, though, that's a sports podcast?
Yeah, sports-based, sports news. They were on a hiatus for a little while because of COVID, and one of the guys didn't. He was like, "Well, maybe we should just kind of hold off." And things kind of panned out the way they have, and we're like, "Hey, let's get this back going." So right now, it's hosted by JJ.
Okay,
he's a pretty big sports guy. He loves Texas football. His Houston Texans are his professional team.
That's his team, huh?
That's his team, yeah. Okay. And he loves nothing more than to shit on Dallas Cowboy fans.
Not hard to do the past 15 years.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit at this point.
Yeah.
Tell
him to try harder. Find a different team to pick on.
There you go. Make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
But, we talk everything from... UFC, stuff like that. I know on Mondays, because that's when we record, I know the Tyson-Roy Jones fight.
What happened last night?
Oh, you didn't watch it? Oh, spoiler. You want a spoiler?
Yeah. Okay, so for Fort Worth Roots listeners, we're about to talk about the last UFC fight with Tyson and Roy Jones.
Well, it was boxing, wasn't UFC.
Oh, was it really?
They boxed.
Oh, okay. I knew they were boxing, but I guess I thought UFC is putting it on. Mm-mm. Okay, so boxing.
Yeah.
Okay. Play-by-play, how'd it go?
Oh, man. It went all 8 rounds.
Nice.
Tyson looked fucking amazing. It was.
What's the age difference? They're within a couple of years, right?
Tyson's 54, Roy Jones 51.
Oh, okay.
Tyson had been 15 years since his last fight. Mm-hmm. Jones Jr., it was 2 years, 2-3 years. Yeah. So, but should've Tyson dude, when, you saw him and it was obviously an old Mike Tyson, but it was still Mike Tyson. Yeah. He didn't look near as winded as Roy Jones Jr. He'd be in his corner just panting, and Tyson just, a little more. He was so like laser beam focused on the task at hand.
Man,
it was amazing just seeing him in there, the way he was moving and dodging. It was classic Tyson.
Yeah.
I don't think he got any solid lands with that trademark uppercut.
Yeah.
But he landed some good hits. Roy Jones landed some good hits too, but his style, it was a little more sloppy on his part, but he had a couple good licks on Tyson too.
Yeah. So he was looking a little more wore out than Tyson.
Oh, definitely, and that's where like the conditioning came in.
It's really surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I had Tyson going all the way.
So it ended in a draw.
Yeah, which I thought,
but they had some rules built into this, right? Like they weren't going to allow knockouts. They weren't
how are you going to enforce that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that was my
rule
question
didn't make any
time.
sense. Yeah,
so
how are you going to
make sure you pull some punches? Like,
yeah,
what?
Give it everything, but only about 80%. You know, and no, like they
Go
went
all the
out.
way, but be careful.
I mean, I would say that there wasn't any really holding back. I mean, considering these are 50-year-old men out there, was impressive seeing them the way that they were moving and swinging on each other. But yeah, there was no cuts because blood and all that, which was amazing. There's no blood. No timeouts, and if the boxing federation felt that it got too aggressive, they reserved the right to call it at any moment throughout the fight.
So was this supposed to be kind of a charity type thing?
It was listed as an exhibition fight.
Okay, which I don't understand the difference there, but
it doesn't. It's just for show. Yeah. Like there's no belt at hand. They even said there's going to be no declared winner. But the International Boxing Federation still scored it,
right?
Even though like it's not going on Tyson's record as a win or a loss, or it's just.
So from the beginning, it was gonna be a draw.
Well, this is where I'm kind of starting to think maybe they planned it that way the whole time,
right?
Because the Boxing Federation said they were going to score it. There were judges. They were giving score updates. You know, Tyson took this round, Roy Jones took this round, stuff like that. And towards the end, like round 6, 7, it was close. Tyson was ahead, but then I don't see those last 2 rounds being good enough to bring Jones Jr. up to tie with Tyson. I think Tyson won if you were to have scored it how boxing is scored.
That seems to be what I'm reading online. People giving their 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a boxing aficionado either. I do enjoy watching boxing over like MMA, UFC, stuff like that. But one of the pre-cards before that was Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson, the basketball player.
What?
Yeah, it was a celebrity match that was the fight right before Tyson and
Did these guys
Jones.
have beef, or they just kind of throw them in randomly?
Kind of just threw them in randomly. The Paul guy, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. That's that viral internet guy.
Yeah,
right?
that guy.
Yeah.
This was his 3rd match. No, his 4th match.
Apparently, he's pretty badass.
I didn't have high hopes for him because, like, just looking at him, he just looks like a douchebag.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to lose just because of that. And like Nate Robinson, like I used to be a big Celtics fan, and I mean the dude's, he's a strong professional athlete. Like dude, performs on a professional level.
Right.
And he had never had a match. He had only been training for a couple weeks prior to this, which once I found that out, I'm like, oh, fuck, douchebag's going to take him. And it showed because, the way Paul was like kind of moving around, like he had some fighter boxing experience. Yeah. And Nate Robinson was trying to like hood fight him.
Well, you know that he's done some fighting in the past, right?
Nate Robinson?
No, the other guy.
Well, yeah, he's had like three boxing matches prior to this. I think this was his 4th.
Right.
So, and I had never seen him before. Yeah, the way, once I saw him get in there and start moving around and throwing some punches like this, all right, this dude's got some experience. Whereas Nate Robinson, he just tried to like hood fight him. Like he'd charge him and start swinging on him. And a couple times on like Logan Paul doing that, he figured it out and started timing everything right. Knocked him down like 3 good times. One time got him right between, right behind the ear, and his body just dropped.
Now, did he have a pretty good reach on Logan?
They had about the same.
Did they?
Yeah, it just came down to sloppy fighting versus good discipline.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Had Nate been a little more patient and kind of boxed, I think it would have been a lot closer.
Instead of trying to brawl.
Yeah, and that's what he was doing. He would just charge at him and kind of swing wildly. And even Snoop Dogg was commentating. He was like, come on, Nate, come on, dog. Like, have some patience, baby. Like, Snoop was pretty entertaining.
I missed a great card.
I was a little like, because I'm always real weird when you get like a celebrity commentator, because you get somebody in there not knowing how to talk about, translate it. But Snoop was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty cool.
Martha Stewart do a cameo? Did she pop in?
No, she may have been there, but I don't know.
Snoop and Martha, they're pretty tight.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Thing?
Yeah.
David, our co-host on The Emergency Exit, has got beef with Snoop Dogg.
Really? Like legitimate or just?
I mean, just he doesn't like him because
does Snoop know about this?
No.
Well, then it's not real beef. It's not real beef.
Yeah, there you go. he doesn't like him, and every time it comes up, he will express it.
Well, man, I know you got another appointment to get to, and you said 90 minutes, and I've used up that window. So
excellent.
You want to drop any plugs before we get out of here?
Just go check out emergencyexitpodcast.com. I just implemented the ability to send us your email address, and you'll get a monthly newsletter. Okay. Insider information. If we've got some behind the scenes clips, which we are working on. Nice. Get exclusive access to that. Our newsletter is there. You can go to our Facebook page, Emergency Exit Podcast, and give us your email that way. And I don't know, the next 10 people that get added to the list, I'll send them a free koozie.
Free koozie, which, by the way, he was nice enough. This is the free koozie that you will get, I guess, right?
Yeah. Just like that.
See that if you're just listening to the podcast, you can see the koozie on the YouTube channel. This is what Brandon brought me. He's the second guest that's ever brought me something. So. Thank you, Brandon.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, Fort Worth Roots. We will see you next week. And Brandon, thank you again. Bye. Cool, man.
Excellent.
Another big thank you to our new friend, Brandon Mitchell. Thank you for coming on the show, my friend. Thank you, sir. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. We've made another wonderful friend here in the city of Austin. We're going to be here for a while, talking to cool people in the Austin, Texas area, finding out what's going on down here. Fort Worth Roots is a mobile podcast. It's always intended to be, and it will always be a mobile podcast. We're going to keep going places, keep seeing things, meeting people. That's the whole point of the show. So I hope that you will decide to come along with us on this wonderful journey. And we're going to meet more awesome people like Brandon Mitchell from the Emergency Exit Podcast. You can find their content at emergencyexitpodcast.com. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our international listeners. We picked up the GeoSavin platform recently, and the people from India have found our show, and they're paying attention. So if you're from India and you're listening to Fort Worth Roots, thank you for being here. And if you're from any place, including Fort Worth, thank you for listening to the show. Every time you guys every time you guys tune in to listen, it shows up on an interactive map. So I get to see the numbers populate all over the world. And that's really fun to watch. So wherever you are in whatever country you call home, thank you for being here and for being part of the show. You add value and you make my day better every time you listen to an episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget, if you're just watching the video, you can listen to the podcast version of it, which I promise the audio is always better on that. We're on almost every network. I'm adding our show to all the directories, little by little. Sometimes it takes a while for the individual directories to upload our RSS feed to their network. So that's some of what the holdup is. And then the other part of the holdup is maybe I didn't think that the platform you're listening on is very popular, so I just kind of skimmed over it. But if you can't find this podcast on a specific platform that you want to listen to it on, just holler at me. It's media@fortworthroots.com. Tell me, hey, why aren't you on this one? And then I'll fix it. But it might take 6 months. I don't know. That part, that's on them. But we are on all the major networks, so that should help. And like I said, we're on GeoSavin now, which that's got a bunch of Indian content. You might want to download it here in the U.S. Might have something on there you can't live without. Cool. That's it from me. Thank y'all for being here. Don't forget, these episodes are trimmed down a little bit to make it more digestible, easier for you to enjoy on your drive to work or while you're doing activities at the house, whatever. If you want more to each one of these episodes, there's a way for you to get that on our Patreon account. So, of course, we're Fort Worth Roots on every social media platform, and Some of the social media I do better at keeping up with, but we've got a presence pretty much on every platform, except Parler. I mean, we're on there. I went ahead and grabbed it. Fort Worth Roots, I think, is what I ended up with on Parler, but I can't figure it out. It's probably not that difficult, but I'm just not that smart. But we got it. We're out there. But if you'd like to see something else, you'd like to see us on a different platform, or maybe you just got input about the show, hit me up, media@fortworthroots.com. You can even send an MP3 file with a voice recording. Just think of it as like a voicemail. Tell me about what you think of the show, the individual episodes. And that doesn't matter where you're from. Portland, Oregon, middle of India, somewhere over in New Zealand, wherever you are, you can send that stuff, and there's a very good chance it's going to end up on the show. Unless you say something totally crazy, but even then, I like crazy. I jive well with crazy. So, thank y'all for being here. I'm going to shut up. Can't wait to see you next week. Thanks for being part of the show, and all right, bye.